Esther chapter 8. That day King Ahasuerus gave the house of Haman, enemy of the Jews, to Queen Esther. And Mordecai was admitted to the king's presence. For Esther had revealed his relationship to her. The king removed his signet ring, that he had taken away from Haman, and gave it to Mordecai. And Esther put Mordecai in charge of the house of Haman. The Jewish victory and feast of Purim. The second royal decree. Esther again spoke to the king. She fell at his feet and tearfully implored him to revoke the harm done by Haman the Agagite, and the plan he had devised against the Jews. The king stretched forth the golden scepter to Esther. So she rose and, standing before him, said, "If it seems good to the king, and if I have found favor with him, if the thing seems right to the king and I am pleasing in his eyes, let a document be issued, to revoke the letters that the schemer Haman, son of Hamdatha the Agagite, wrote for the destruction of the Jews in all the royal provinces. For how can I witness the evil that is to befall my people? And how can I behold the destruction of my kindred?" King Ahasuerus then said to Queen Esther, and to the Jew Mordecai, "Now that I have given Esther the house of Haman, and they have impaled him on the stake, because he was going to attack the Jews, you in turn may write in the king's name what you see fit concerning the Jews, and seal the letter with the royal signet ring. For a decree written in the name of the king, and sealed with the royal signet ring cannot be revoked." At that time, on the 23rd day of the 3rd month, Sivan, the royal scribes were summoned. Exactly as Mordecai dictated, they wrote to the Jews and to the satraps, governors, and officials of the 127 provinces from India to Ethiopia, to each province in its own script, and to each people in its own language, and to the Jews in their own script and language. These letters, which he wrote in the name of King Ahasuerus, and sealed with the royal signet ring, he sent by mounted couriers riding thoroughbred royal steeds. In these letters the king authorized the Jews, in each and every city to gather, and defend their lives, to destroy, kill, and annihilate every armed group, of any nation or province that might attack them, along with their wives and children, and to seize their goods as spoil, on a single day throughout the provinces of King Ahasuerus. The 13th day of the 12th month, Adar. The following is a copy of the letter. The great King Ahasuerus to the governors of the provinces, in the 127 satrapies from India to Ethiopia, and to those who are loyal to our government, greetings. Many have become more ambitious, the more they were showered with honors, through the bountiful generosity of their patrons. Not only do they seek to do harm to our subjects but, incapable of dealing with such greatness, they even begin plotting against their own benefactors. Not only do they drive out gratitude from among humankind but, with the arrogant boastfulness of those to whom goodness has no meaning, they suppose they will escape the stern judgment of the all-seeing God. Often, too, the fair speech of friends entrusted with the administration of affairs has induced many placed in authority to become accomplices in the shedding of innocent blood, and has involved them in irreparable calamities. by deceiving with malicious slander the sincere goodwill of rulers. This can be verified in the ancient stories that have been handed down to us, but more fully when you consider the wicked deeds perpetrated in your midst by the pestilential influence of those undeserving of authority. We must provide for the future, so as to render the kingdom undisturbed and peaceful for all people, taking advantage of changing conditions, and always deciding matters coming to our attention with equitable treatment. For instance, Haman, son of Hamdatha, a Macedonian, certainly not of Persian blood, and very different from us in generosity, was hospitably received by us. He benefited so much from the goodwill we have toward all peoples that he was proclaimed our Father, before whom everyone was to bow down, and he attained a position second only to the royal throne. But, unable to control his arrogance, he strove to deprive us of kingdom and of life, and by weaving intricate webs of deceit, he demanded the destruction of Mordecai, our Savior and constant benefactor, and of Esther, our blameless royal consort, together with their whole nation. For by such measures he hoped to catch us defenseless and to transfer the rule of the Persians to the Macedonians. But we find that the Jews, who were doomed to extinction by this arch-criminal, are not evildoers, but rather are governed by very just laws, and are the children of the Most High, the living God of majesty, who has maintained the kingdom in a flourishing condition for us and for our forebears. You will do well, then, to ignore the letter sent by Haman, son of Hamdatha, for he who composed it has been impaled, together with his entire household, before the gates of Susa. Thus swiftly has God, who governs all, brought just punishment upon him. You shall exhibit a copy of this letter publicly, in every place, to certify that the Jews may follow their own laws, and that you may help them on the day set for their ruin, the 13th day of the 12th month, Adar, to defend themselves against those who attack them. For God, the ruler of all, has turned that day from one of destruction of the chosen people into one of joy for them. Therefore, you too must celebrate this memorable day among your designated feasts with all rejoicing, so that both now and in the future it may be a celebration of deliverance for us, and for Persians of goodwill, but for those who plot against us a reminder of destruction. Every city and province without exception that does not observe this decree shall be ruthlessly destroyed with fire and sword, so that it will be left not merely untrodden by people, but even shunned by wild beasts and birds forever.